so, the fact that the stranger travelled alone on a mount the worth of an entire herd of lesser steeds gave us all to know that we were gazing upon a person of high rank and importance. Still, it did not take a druid skilled in the arts of augury to foresee the future that day. Even a gang of muddy, skinny-shanked boys knew and understood that a thing of great significance was about to take place. Looking neither right nor left, the druid proceeded directly through the gates of the stronghold and into the common yard, reining up outside the king's hall. There he sat on his splendid horse, upright as a hickory rod, his hooded eyes sharp, all-seeing, taking in the measure of the place while he waited to be received in a manner befitting his exalted status. When our king sent Barga, his hearth-master, in his stead, the muttering began. "Great of wisdom, may you prosper in all things as you so richly deserve," declared Barga grandly. Clearly embarrassed, he tried to disguise his discomfort with high-sounding flattery. "As the sun honours the earth with light, so you honour us with your radiant presence. My lord and king waits with intense eagerness within." He put out a hand to the open door of the hall. "Will you join him and share the welcome cuach?" The druid frowned, but slid down from his horse and tossed the reins to one of the men standing near. The two entered the hall, and, as we boys were not allowed inside, we all huddled around the door and peeped around the edges of the speckled ox-hide covering, hoping to catch any glimpse of what might happen within. The hall was dark. There was no fire in the hearth, no meat roasting or bread baking. Darkness suited our king's mood most days. Besides, meal and meat is costly, and our lord knew well the value of such things. Jostling around the doorposts, we saw little and heard less, but our elders clucked their tongues and shook their heads and wore their worried faces. Then Barga appeared at the door and shooed us away. We scattered and ran off to further examine the druid's horse instead. One of the men, Aideen's father as I recall, had led the animal to the stone trough where it now stood with its broad muzzle sunk deep in the water. The creature's legs were straight and sturdy, its shoulders and haunches strong. The ruddy coat seemed to glow in the sunlight with a fire all its own. I know I had never seen such a beautiful animal in my life, and I believed then that I never would see another like it. "Some day I will own a horse like this," I announced grandly, and was disappointed to see that none of my friends took me seriously. "Ach, and where would you be getting a horse like this?" demanded Fergal. "From the fairy folk, maybe?" laughed Donal. By way of reply, I gave him a punch on the arm. "I will, you know. I'll get one. Wait and see if I don't." Our appraisal of the animal was interrupted just then as one of the king's handmaids emerged from the hall, leading the strange druid to a house on the common, the little house used as a guest lodge. So few visitors troubled our king's hospitality that the building was less lodging for guests and more storeroom. Its furniture was old stuff, and there were grain sacks stacked along the walls, and casks of ale and mead and wine in the corners. Women sometimes used the hearth for drying fish and cloth, and on rainy days we were often allowed to play there. We saw the maid lead our visitor into the house, linger a little at the door, and then walk slowly back to the hall as if to a funeral, perhaps her own. But she had not yet reached the hall before the druid appeared again in the yard, and oh, his face was black with rage. The quick among us realised at once what was wrong. Thanks to our niggardly king, our guest had been snubbed, and his position held small. Not the promised drink in the silver cuach, nor bread on the board, or meat on the platter, not even so much as a smear of honey on a barley cake, or humble pinch of salt and sip of wine to welcome him and ease the pangs of his journey. That alone would have been enough to anger him, but the shabby lodgings taxed his forbearance beyond reason. Who could blame him? By now some few of the warriors had come out of the hall, and others had abandoned their chores and weapons practice. Most of the clan had gathered to get the measure of the visitor, and everyone witnessed his humiliation at the hands of our king. The muttering grew louder and more anxious. Glaring poison at us, the great man marched to the centre of the common yard and squatted down in the dirt. Placing the palm of his hands, one on either cheek, he closed his eyes.